Hello everybody and good morning from the Lang Son province of Vietnam. We're currently in Chi Lang and we just checked out of probably one of the worst homestays. We had an absolutely horrible night's sleep, but it's only mainly because of the situation here. We're on the main road with all of these crazy trucks passing by. Today we're making our way from Chi Lang to Lang Son, the city itself, which is the closest, largest city to the border of China.
It has rained through the entire night and really heavy all the way until about 8 a.m. this morning, so we have been kind of waiting out the weather just a little bit. So now it's 20 past 10 and we're finally on the road. I don't know how the people stomach to live here with all of the trucks going through and beeping all of the time. I don't know. The views around are quite nice though. I think this would be like a really sort of whimsical place if it wasn't for all of the trucks beeping all of the time.
Crazy views over the mountains. It's a nice thing to have first thing in the morning. Ooh. Oh. Gonna have some coffee and a Rockstar because have not had any breakfast so far.
We have not had any breakfast or caffeine for a matter of fact, which is probably why we were so quiet this entire time.
Yeah, true.
We kind of get a little bit like angry with each other when we don't have caffeine. Sometimes we gotta snap a little bit.
Yeah, I think we need to quit, to work on like quitting coffee at some stage because it's very, very addictive. It's not very good for you either, but gonna have a little bit of caffeine and then we'll get back on the road. It's not a long day today, but the roads are very, very wet, very muddy. It's also very warm and humid. I'm just sweating like crazy. It's tougher than we expected it to be, even though it's a short day. Road geese.
We are back on the road. Feeling a little bit better with some caffeine and some sugar in our system now. Still haven't had breakfast, but that's okay. Can have some food when we get there. I just feel like the grey environment just really sucks all of the energy out of your system, and then also last night we didn't really sleep that much. Because of where we were staying, the guest house just was quite dirty and we had moldy pillows and it was really cold and so on. We couldn't use the blankets because they were all kind of low-key wet. But that's why we're just, I don't know, not vibing today. And we already were operating on a quite fragile system, if you know what I mean.
Up here in the misty mountains of northern Vietnam, the weather changes very quickly. It's all of a sudden a little bit cold and rainy now, so we're gonna take a pit stop here at a local store and try and see if we can get ourselves something. I have no idea what, but just something edible for breakfast. Maybe these will do. Okay, come on. Hello. Hello. My name's Luke. Luke.
No.
Luke. What's your name?
My name is
Vin. Nice to meet you. I'm Luke. Luke, Naomi.
Naomi.
You want? You want one? Okay. Okay. Your name?
Hello.
Du. Nice to meet you. Wow, so many. High five. Whoa. Oh.
I can show you. Wait.
We made friends. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
So Vietnam has done it again. It's full force, raining now. We're putting on the rain gear. As you can see, Luke now looks like a bat. But yeah, I'm done. I'm gonna discard of this bike the second that we get to the next city, and that's it for me. I'm at the end of my strength and I don't want to keep going. This is not fun. We are in Lang Son, the last city before China. Would have been another 30 kilometers this way to get to the border with China, which is fine. From here, there's lots of sort of train options and bus options to get to the border, and you just cross on foot, and then from there you can take a train. And I think that's what we're going to do. So now our adventure itself is not over. We're just gonna... Thought I lost Luke. We're just gonna change mode of transport because, I mean, if we're being honest, this was like about probably 70% my idea to do this, and I don't want to like have this issue of being committed to this decision regardless of how we're feeling with it or how the channel is performing or all of these good things. So I don't know, it would be a dumb decision to just keep on pushing this type of content, even though the last few weeks in Vietnam have taken all of the joy out of it for us, and also it's not a good decision for the channel. So we had some of the best days while traveling, I think, on the back of our bicycles, and also some of the worst. We made it through Thailand, we made it through Laos, and we also made it pretty much through Vietnam. So I don't know what else is there to ask for. It's still a positive in the books. It's still, of course, like, I feel my pride being a little bit hurt, but it's okay. Have to be mature enough to understand that your decisions sometimes are not the right decisions, and that's okay. They don't have to be the right decisions all of the time.
All right, everybody. So we figured that we would sit down and do a little bit of a chit chat because obviously we sort of committed ourselves to this series, and it didn't turn out exactly the way that we intended it to. And there's a lot of reasons that led up to, I guess, the decision that we have decided to come upon, and that is to basically leave our bikes behind. So we left our bikes, our nice decathlon bikes, we left them with a very friendly guest house owner and her family back in Lang Son in Vietnam, and it just seemed like the right thing to do, to be honest. She ran a really nice guest house, and we decided to basically just give the bike to her and say you can use it, and maybe give it to some European guests because they're big bikes. So that's basically the decision that we've decided to come to, and Naomi's going to kind of take you through some of the reasons as to why that is. There's a couple that sort of led up to this decision.
First up, as a recap, maybe we did manage to cycle a total of about 1,500 kilometers So it was 1,560 minus the part that we did in Ninh Binh, I believe. So it's just about 1,500 kilometers that we did in the end, which is still a pretty insane journey if you think about it.
It was mental. Like, we covered the equivalent distance just over basically Bangkok to Hanoi, if you want to put it like that. Because we cycled all the way up to Ninh Binh, then we took the transport to Hanoi, and then we cycled the rest of the way from Hanoi up to Lang Son. And if you add that all together, it basically equates to a Bangkok to Hanoi cycling trip. And we had some unbelievable experiences, as you guys would have witnessed with us as we filmed every single day of this journey. And that, unfortunately, I think is a part of the reason as to why we're actually deciding to cut this trip short.
I do have to say, overall, we're a little bit sad as well that it came this far. But I do think that it was not preventable, to be honest, because, well, ever since kind of, if you think about like Thailand and Laos, it was really, really hot the entire time. It was good weather. It had its own kind of challenges, which was okay. Like, it was manageable, somewhat manageable, whatever. And then the second that we hit Vietnam, everything just went downhill really, really rapidly. Very cold weather, very wet weather. And also rainy season this year apparently is coming early. So parts of Thailand already are experiencing rainy season. As of right now, it's mid-March, I believe. Usually Thailand rainy season, for example, in Bangkok would start at the end of April, just after Songkran, right? So that's kind of the first point, I believe, that led us there, is that the weather was just absolutely horrible and very, very unexpectedly horrible as well. I think
we weren't properly prepared for that either. Like, we have no issue saying this. We didn't prepare at all for this. We literally have no cycling experience. So between both of us, me, like, I think Naomi has actually done more than me in regards to this. Bike packing and long distance cycling, I've never done it before in my life. I come from Ireland, a tiny little island that floats in the ocean somewhere, and it's really sort of minuscule. So I've never even thought about doing something like this. But the fact that we made it this far is pretty crazy. But I do want to touch upon something. The weather, like Naomi's saying, it made us very sick. So we, over the course of the trip,
food poisoning,
the weather, and we had constant food poisoning since we entered Vietnam, unfortunately. We had, I think, maybe 3 or 4 instances back and forth of food poisoning. We had both gotten the flu. Naomi actually is still sick. I think she might have some sort of like a chest infection or something. She has like a really bad cough. Yeah. And it's all a culmination of being constantly wet and then dry and then cold and hot then when we get into the rooms. Constantly being outside, and not only that, but we're filming the entire time. So basically we would film an entire day of cycle maybe 80 kilometers or so, and then I would sit down and spend maybe 4 hours editing and uploading the video as well.
Also, like, our plan initially was to obviously cover some of the places that we are visiting, that we are stopping in, focus more on the people. And I do have to say that we generally failed with that as well. The initial plan of this journey, right, was to get out of the convenience. Check, we did that, definitely. There was no convenience whatsoever. Other than some nice hotels, there wasn't really that much convenience. But the initial plan was really to focus on places and people that maybe don't get enough coverage. And because of several hours, like 5, 6, 7 hours of cycling every single day, we were just so tired and exhausted, and also like not really motivated anymore at the end of the day to go out and seek out those stories. And that's, to be honest, that's on us, because I don't know, I think at the beginning when you start cycling, you don't really expect to be that tired. And we just arrived at the places usually, and then we were like, okay, let's have food, and then we really went to bed, and that was about it.
Yeah, the whole idea of this was to make our content more engaging and more exciting, and I think in some ways we managed to do that. In other ways we didn't. So the majority of the videos revolved around cycling, and there's not that many people in the world, actually, realistically. There's a lot of cyclists out there. There's not a lot of like hard long distance cyclers, like if you take the world's population into account. So not many people are really genuinely interested in this type of content, especially because it's just us on a bike with a camera for the majority of the videos. And sometimes I would watch the videos back while I was editing them, and I'd be like, what's really going on here? Like, we're just kind of sitting on these bikes. Yeah, it's just showing the adventure and stuff like that. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have enjoyed it, but there's certain aspects to a video, I think, and especially travel videos, that makes things interesting. And cycling a bike for 25 minutes in a video is not one of them.
And if we're being honest as well, if there are long distance cyclists out there that are interested in these types of things, usually long distance cyclists, they cycle. They don't really consume this type of content, maybe in preparation for their own trip or something like that. But that would more be like a compilation type of video where you're like, okay, I'm going to put the entire journey into one video, right? So that would be more in preparation, what you would watch. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still proud of us. I didn't think that we would make it this far. And we are, if this sounds in any way unappreciative for the people that did watch, we're not unappreciative whatsoever. We're actually very, very appreciative for the people that are there for us and the people that did watch this series. But we just feel like we don't want to get stuck in that commitment just because we said at the beginning we were going to try and get to Shanghai. If we see that we're not enjoying it and our content is lacking because of it and the content quality is lacking and people are not as engaged or whatever as they would usually be, then I would rather say, okay, then let's course correct instead of continuing to do something that nobody really enjoys.
Yeah, our view counts, and this is something that we'll touch upon as well, because we are YouTubers. This is our job.
This is our income.
This is our job, literally. It's our full-time job. Our view counts on our videos literally went down by like a quarter of what they were in many instances. And that's not...
down by 75%.
Basically 75% drop over, like, across a lot of the videos. And I think that has to do with the combination of cycling, which is not interesting to a lot of people. Some of the countries that we were in, Thailand and Laos and Vietnam, a lot of people go there and make better quality travel vlogs. Like, if we're cycling somewhere on a main road, you can watch someone do a video in Mark Wiens' restaurant instead, and you're going to get more sort of information about maybe places that you actually want to visit. You don't want to go and explore the highway in Bangkok. But that's what we were doing in our videos. So I think there's a reason why we saw the drop in views. It's not the reason why we're stopping this at all. It's just a very small part of it. The main part for me, and I think for Naomi as well, why we're actually stopping it is the physicality of it and the day in, day out, editing, uploading, cycling, editing, uploading, cycling, repeat. And then we would have a rest day maybe every 3 days. And sometimes we would go for like 8 or 9 days with no rest days.
Yeah, but then also because of where we were, obviously a little bit more rural, not so developed places and so on, the quality of hotels along the way were not that amazing here and there as well, which then led to us being more tired, not being rested. Not sleeping. Yes, at the beginning of the video, the hotel that we checked out of, neither of us slept for a single second, if we're being honest, and we just had the absolute worst day going from Chilang to Langson. So and that was just like that. We had so many consecutive days where things were going wrong that at some stage I think we just arrived at the point where we were like, okay, it's too much.
Done. Yeah. It's exhaustion combined with a huge drop in view count, combined with being constantly sick, terrible weather, just... And the kind of just got sucked out of us. The motivation got sucked out of us, to be totally honest. And I have nothing against Vietnam. Like, Vietnam as a country, and we've been there now. This is our second time visiting Vietnam. The first time we were there...
4 months there, I think, in total.
Spent like 4 or 5 months in the country, and we've been south, the middle, and we've been up north. We've been to loads of different places. I've got nothing against Vietnam, and I would actually go back there. But the north of Vietnam, for whatever reason, and I'm sorry to say this, it's not my favorite place, and I don't think it's Naomi's favorite either. It's just very depressing, to put it bluntly. It's
Very
like
grey,
very,
polluted.
very grey, very heavy pollution.
All the
a lot of-
accommodations have mold.
There's a lot of mold. There's a lot of just what it seems like to be just permanent damp.
The
And
people are great.
The people there,
it's not the people, it's just like the environment.
people are incredible, like unbelievable. The food in general is very good, although we got food poisoning a lot in the north of Vietnam this time around. But it's just something about that part of Vietnam where we just can't, like, I don't think I would go back, to be honest, to the north. If I was to go back to Vietnam, it would be in the south, and that's just purely because of the environment. But that played, I think, a gigantic part in all of this.
And the other thing is, for the entire time that we were in Vietnam, we were telling ourselves, okay, once we get into China or whatever, maybe like halfway through Guangxi or Hunan, the weather would get better. And then we put out a post on our Red Note, which is a Chinese social media platform, and we asked what is the situation like, and a lot of people were saying that the rainy season has already arrived in southern China as well, which was supposed to be also, I think, in May or like April, May,
Not
kind
sure,
of like
yeah. Springtime.
similar to Thailand and Vietnam, I suppose.
Yep.
So the outlook of what is going to happen to us in the next few weeks was not going to change.
Yeah.
And I think that was the big point. If we would have like crossed over another mountain and the weather would be different, it would be, you know, a little bit nicer, warmer, drier, whatever, fine. Yeah. But if you are in a bad position and your outlook is not getting any better, or the situation in terms of what is making you sick at the moment, what is maybe not a good situation to be in, nothing is getting better in that view, you're not going to go. And especially in China, I was planning our route, we would have had to do like 90 to 100 kilometer days each and every day, because obviously China is a very large country, so you need to cover a lot more ground a lot faster.
It's massive. China is literally massive. But not to make a huge story out of this, we are crossing over into China. Actually, the next video that you guys see, we're going to cross over to China on foot. So
the adventure continues.
The adventure continues for sure. We're going to be going overland into Guangxi province, and then we're going to be making our way pretty much all over China over the next sort of few months. That's kind of the plan as of right now. And it's going to be all done on buses, trains, etc., etc. And we have some really, really big plans for some places that we're going, which we never even thought that we would end up going. So keep that in mind.
The goals that we had set for ourselves as well, they are staying the same. So we're still striving to be better, to make content about undiscovered places, maybe people that are not covered as much or whatever, and then, but do it in a different way so that we actually have enough energy and focus and mental capacity to be ready to hear that story instead of, you know, falling asleep because we're exhausted.
Yeah, the exhaustion took it out of us, to be honest. But now we are very, very committed. We have a huge adventure on our hands in China for the next few months. And we also have a whole bunch more countries as well, of course, for the rest of this year. So stay tuned for all of that madness, because
our life, some pretty cool countries.
Yeah, our life is just kind of getting crazier and crazier as the months go by. So we're going to see what happens and how that develops, and I hope you guys will stick along with us. And we just want to say on behalf of both of us, if you are and have been invested into this, we apologize that we didn't actually make it, but we hope that we still did you guys proud, and we definitely feel proud in ourselves.
And we appreciate the engagement and that you still watched us and that you have been there for us. We have gotten so many really supportive comments that, to be honest, like a lot of them even made me cry and made me like really emotional, just because I didn't like, obviously I knew that we had a great community, but I didn't expect these types of comments. I think we're both very, very grateful for where we are and the community that we have, and that also needs to be said every now and then. I feel like we don't
say it as much as we should.
Yeah.
We need to actually like focus on that more as well. But next episode, crossing into China on foot, it's going to be absolutely mental, and I mean it in the best way possible. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.